In 1961, I graduated from the University of Wyoming in Laramie, Wyoming, and was hired by Chevrolet Engineering in Warren, Michigan. A dream job for a farm boy. Went to work in '61 for Chevrolet, and they apprentice you on the dynamometer cells. You learn the product from one end to the other. You learn all the tests that GM wants to do to their engines as they develop them. And fortunately, in 1962, they decided they were in the process of developing a new big block to replace the 409. So they designated the next version as the Mark II Chevrolet. They chose to do the first version of the engine as a performance version, a racing version, because many of the people at Chevrolet still had an interest or a love in participating in late model stock car racing. And we had been banned from that in 1957 when the corporations all got together and decided they didn't want to race anymore. It was costing them too much money. So anyway, in development, they were coming along with an engine called the Mark II. So they needed a test engineer, so I got the dream job. I was designated as the test engineer on the Mark II engine, and this in this car is a sample of the engine that we developed primarily in 1962. We ran 3 shifts a day, 2 shifts a day on development, and sometimes 3 shifts depending on whether it was just development or durability. The development was very rapid. We came up with a lot of things that were not used by any of the other Chevrolet things. In essence, we ended up about 100 horsepower higher than we had with the 409. So using those parameters, we tested the engine extensively out in Phoenix on the 5-mile circle. We ended up running almost 20 miles an hour faster in the 1963 stock car than we had in 1961. Yeah, no, in 1962 they raced the 409 and it was 157 miles an hour. Through our testing, we got it up to 170, about 175 miles an hour. And that was still as a 409. We went back, we're in the process of doing all the parts to make it a 427. So we were able to introduce it to the stock car racing business in January of 1963. This particular engine and car was one of 2 built by Mickey Thompson and Smokey Yunick to race in what they called a Daytona Continental, a preliminary race for the Daytona 500 in 1963. This is the sole remaining sample of that car and engine from that time period. This particular car was in the possession of whoever bought it from Mickey Thompson after this race event in '63. He raced it with a small block engine in it for a number of years, and he's evidently a fairly wealthy car aficionado that has other cars. And the engine itself, the one that's in here and the one that's pictured on Hot Rod Magazine, was purchased at Smokey Yunick's garage sale in 1988 when he cleared out everything he didn't want anymore. And it kind of languished apparently in California somewhere until the fairly well-known illustrator David Kimball persuaded him to restore the car, put this engine in it, and put a real piece of history together. So it's described in this issue of Hot Rod Magazine, but it does my heart good to see this being the 50th anniversary of the big block Chevrolet, to see that much interest in this old stuff. For me, it was the project that launched me into a performance career with Chevrolet for the next 20 years. So it was a blessing for me, and I hope everybody enjoys it.